Welcome back, comrades. This is Gaming with Austin. And today, we're on episode 26 of Season 2 of the Utopian Community series. As soon as I get this world loaded up. There we are. Let's talk about music, especially death metal. Has any of y'all heard of Cannibal Corpse? They helped shape. They're one of the most important death metal bands in history of death metal. Slayer also helped the death metal scene as well with their violent lyrics. Especially their song Raining Blood. What I'm doing this episode, by the way, is I'm gonna finish covering up the rooftop with sticks of dynamite. Then I'm gonna make the biggest boom in the history of Minecraft. I'm gonna make the biggest boom boom. And if you go slow and steady, accuracy increases. When you're building stuff in Minecraft, when you go slow and steady, you'll have better accuracy. with farming, one thing you gotta go into consideration is it's hard to store grain in areas rodents will inhabit. Unless you have a cat. If I was a cat breeder, I'd be breeding cats for the purpose of pest control. I agree that, like, whenever it goes to maximum wage ceilings, we need those for the CEOs. When you go towards simple living, like Mahatma Gandhi, who protested against, like, by going on a hunger strike, against, like, to protest against the use of British goods in India. Holding your breath until your face turns blue is almost never successful, because a lot of youth rights are sort of limited by law, because there are age of majority laws that are set by the country. They need to be imposed by international. What we need is an international age of majority to make sure our brains are fully developed. Because when you're very young, like an infant or toddler, that's when you're at maximum curiosity. Because we are born curious. Our curiosity helped us improve how we gather food. You know, food that is farmed instead of going out hunting and gathering food, it should be cheaper. Like, it should be cheaper to farm than it is to go out. Because the real reason everything has a cost is because going out hunting requires more energy than farming for yourself. It requires more energy than farming for yourself. And wild mice and rats tend to be kind of greedy with food. That is because per kilogram of body weight, they have a greater need for food than we do. They have a greater need for food than we do. Like the food that is supposed to feed 7.5 billion people, if it wasn't for the cats, we're not just going to have a really bad humanitarian crisis on the global level. Entire ecosystems will collapse. One good source of food in a zombie apocalypse: beans. first couple of days of the zombie apocalypse, you should start turning your shelter, emergency shelter, into a farm. Beans are shelf stable. Eat plenty of beans. Beans are shelf stable even without preservatives. They're known for being shelf stable foods. Another food that is shelf stable, canned goods. But there's a problem with canned goods. Botulism. It has to do with botulism. Because Clostridium botulinum is an obligate anaerobe, which means oxygen is harmful for them. What can be healthy for us can be really harmful for a cat. Like vegan foods. They're good for us, but not good for the cat. Cats need meat more than we do. The only reason we need animal farming in this world is because there are animals out there we like to keep as pets that need meat to survive. The only justification for being greedy is if there is scarcity. Greed is more of an emergency instinct instead of a common instinct. It's more of an emergency instinct. There's emergency instincts and there are common instincts. Rubbernecking is a common instinct. Because we have to make sure members of our species are okay. To ensure the continued survival of the human race. The real reason we need to keep homicide illegal at all costs, unless the patient has permission for it, unless the patient greenlights, in the case of euthanasia, if the patient is terminally ill and there's nothing you can do about it, regardless of money, homicide, like, abortion should be up to a woman's choice. But in most cases of homicide, the reason they should keep it illegal to kill people is we gotta ensure the survival of the species. Which is why all animals have to ensure the survival of their species as a whole. Which is why there's no animal that is willing to die in the slaughter that chooses to get slaughtered. Because, like us humans, animals have to ensure their survival too. When does competition become necessary? When there's extreme scarcity of resources that are needed for survival. I know a way how I can stay warm in the winter. I'd use alcohol. I'd use lamps made of ethanol. Like, I'd buy some yeast, which is a type of fungus used in the making of booze. Like, I'd get a bottle, a pressure-rated bottle, the reason for that is like, and sometimes I'd have to release the CO2 from the bottle. I'd put sugar in it, Like, I'd put them both in water. In the flour. Or another source of grain. So I can make ethanol. The reason to make the ethanol, I'd be using the ethanol as fuel. I'm not using it to make moonshine. I'll be using it as fuel. Because ethanol burns pretty cleanly. Plus, it's readily available when you let the mash ferment for long enough. What we need to do is make our food sources readily available. I got... Computer, I know you can do this. I know you can do this. Like, I was referring to my computer. That's all. That was one pretty big boom boom I made. At least my computer was, like, one thing I noticed is a drop in frame rate while I did that. But that's okay. The computer's powerful enough, sort of, it's powerful enough for high settings in Minecraft. Because of a Pentium Gold G5600. Even though we can provide our cats with food now, they still go out and hunt sometimes. Cats have a different reason to hunt than we do. For cats, they do it to survive. Humans, we do it out of choice. Those with the slower metabolism would probably be better off, like, in a famine, The ones with the slower metabolism usually wouldn't be as greedy as those with really fast metabolisms. The problem with the rats in our ecosystem is that they spread disease. Not only that, they tend to steal our food too. Because the horrifying truth is, we are not the only animals that need that food to survive. We, as a species, are not the only animals that need that food for survival. We are not the only animals that need that food to survive. You know, it's not the supply that's driving the problem of drug trafficking, it's the demand-driven problem, because how is cocaine over in South America cheaper than it is here? Some of it has to do with geographic conditions. Mischief. The problem with trying to put rats to extinction is that they multiply very quickly. The problem is they multiply very quickly. And in the ecosystem, they do it to ensure that some of them survive to adulthood. Because not all pups within a litter. A pup is a baby mouse or rat. The reason why we can't stop animals from killing other animals is some animals have to kill other animals to survive. Some animals, like our cats, they do not have a choice. Mischief. A mischief is a group of rats or mice. A family unit. Lions have their own family units called prides. A lion pride. is literally dropping the F-bomb at the rooftop. This, like, I decided to drop the F-bomb at the rooftop. Like, 'cause think about it. We had the A-bomb. We dropped that at Japan. We have the H-bomb, in which we threatened to drop it at Russia. Now it's time for the president to drop the F-bomb. Now it's time for the president, like, I think it's time for the president to drop the F-bomb. Because think about it. We had the A-bomb, we had the H-bomb, now it's time for, like, you shouldn't be using potty mouth at a theme park. But the president should. Because think about it. We had the A-bomb, we had the H-bomb, now it's time for him to drop the F-bomb. It's a Jeff Dunham joke with Melvin the superhero. Now, I have to clean up the leftover. The remnants of the explosion. You know, even a totalitarian government is not enough to stop terrorism. In fact, it can exacerbate it. A totalitarian regime can actually exacerbate terrorism. Both domestic terrorism and state terrorism. There's a reason why cats cannot abide by our laws. Because unlike humans, cats kill to survive. Out in the wild. The thing that keeps them from abiding by human laws is instinct. Their instinct to hunt. What humans need to do is ensure the survival of the human race instead of trying to drive itself to extinction. War can ultimately be bad not only for the human race, but for the ecosystem too. I know a way how we can maximize our carrying capacity. One thing I discovered in Minecraft is that you don't have to slit an animal's throat to gather flesh for human consumption. From a great height, they could just fall down pretty easily. But I will not gather that hunk of meat. You know, the problem with most, why cats can't just go out and find dead animals to scavenge, is that meat tends to spoil very quickly. Anyways, this is it for this video. I'll finish the cleanup tomorrow. As always, thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more. Share this with your comrades on social media. As always, peace out.